You know, when we talk about digital security, we're always asking who has the keys to the kingdom. But what if the real question is, for how long? Today, we're going to dive into a much smarter way to handle powerful digital access, where the clock is always ticking. All right, let's just start with a kind of weird question. What if your most powerful admin access expired, like a carton of milk? It sounds a little goofy, I know, but this one idea is completely changing how we protect our most critical systems. It's all about moving away from permanent power and towards temporary, on-demand privilege. For the longest time, the standard was just giving people permanent admin access. But that model is it's high risk, it's always on, and it's constantly vulnerable. The new way of thinking is just-in-time access, which is low risk, on demand, and just fundamentally way more secure. So let's break down why this shift is such a big deal. Okay, so first, let's really look at the old way of doing things. We'll call it the permanent power problem, or really the danger of those always-on admin keys. I mean, just think about it for a second. An admin account that's got all the power 24/7, even when the user is asleep or on vacation, that's a massive, glowing target for attackers. If a bad guy gets a hold of that one account, that's it. They have the keys to everything, all the time. It's basically like leaving the vault door wide open forever. So how do we fix this? Well, the solution is something called just-in-time access. And in the whole Microsoft world, this is handled by a really powerful tool called Privileged Identity Management, or as everyone calls it, PIM. So, what is PIM? At its heart, it's a service that's designed to solve this exact problem. Its main job is to manage, monitor, and protect those super powerful roles by giving people access just in time, which really just means only when they need it and only for as long as they need it. And this right here, this is a huge mental shift. Instead of an active assignment where someone just is an admin all the time, PIM uses something called an eligible assignment. This means you can become an admin when you need to, but you're not one by default. It's the difference between always holding the power versus just having the potential to use it. It's a game changer. The whole process is actually super simple and incredibly powerful. It really just boils down to 3 steps. First, an organization makes a user eligible for a role. They give them the potential. Second, when that user needs to do something, they go in and activate that role. And finally, after a set amount of time, that access just automatically expires. Simple, effective, and way more secure. Okay, to make all this a bit more concrete, let's follow a day in the life of an IT pro we'll call Frank. We're going to see how this secure workflow actually plays out in the real world. So before PIM, Frank was a permanent application administrator. That's a high-risk status, right? But after his company rolled out PIM, his status changed completely. He's no longer an active admin. Now, he's just eligible for the role. And that simple change immediately lowers the risk his account poses to the whole company. So one morning, Frank needs to go update an application. He just goes into his portal, he clicks activate on his eligible role, sets the timer for just 1 hour, exactly the amount of time he needs, and then he types in a quick reason for the request. And his justification is simple and to the point. Updating registered app. Now this might seem like busy work, but it's not. This creates a crystal clear audit trail. Now everybody knows exactly why Frank elevated his privileges at that specific time. And this timeline, this is where the magic really happens. Frank activates his role at 9 a.m. He's efficient, so he finishes his work early at 9:30, and he manually deactivates his access. But here's the best part. Even if he got distracted and forgot to do that, it doesn't matter. At 10 a.m., his 1-hour window is up, and his admin powers are automatically taken away. The opportunity for an attacker just shrank from 24/7 down to just 60 minutes. And you can layer the security even deeper. PIM can be set up to require extra hurdles during that activation step, things like having to re-authenticate with MFA, or getting explicit approval from a manager, or even linking the request to a valid support ticket. Each one of these is another check to make sure the right person is getting access for the right reason. But PIM's power doesn't just stop with user roles. Oh no, it can be used to lock down other critical parts of your entire digital world. So this whole just-in-time protection thing, it actually extends way beyond individual roles. It can also manage who gets to be a member or an owner of important groups. And it can secure access to specific cloud stuff, like servers or databases, through what's called Azure Role-Based Access Control.
Let's bring Frank back for a second to see how this works. Using PIM for groups, he could activate temporary ownership of a group just long enough to add a new teammate. Or he could become a temporary admin on a specific server for, say, 30 minutes to do some maintenance. In both cases, the moment he's done, that access just vanishes.
Okay, let's pull all this together. What's the big takeaway here? Why does this whole model of temporary power matter so much to you? It all comes down to one word: risk. With those old permanent admin roles, the potential for a total disaster from just one stolen password is always high. But with PIM managed roles, that risk drops dramatically. Why? Because most of the time, the power simply isn't there to be stolen. Ultimately, PIM really hammers home three core pillars of modern security. The same ideas behind a zero trust mindset, where you never trust and you always verify. You get just-in-time access, just enough access, and full auditability. It's a perfect record of who got power, when they got it, and exactly why. In the end, what all this really shows us is that true modern security isn't about building higher and higher walls. It's about designing smarter doors, doors that only open for the right person, for the right reason, and for the absolute shortest time possible. And that's not just better security. It's a fundamentally smarter way to manage power.